Hey, welcome to Bayside Church, and we are so glad that you're watching today. If it's your first time with us, we want you to know that we don't take ourselves too seriously, but we do take God seriously. And so for the next hour, we're going to celebrate that we believe there is hope this Christmas. You're going to hear a message, we're going to sing together, and you're even going to laugh a bit because we know that there are greater days ahead.
Christmas has always been the season of hope. Hope for a welcome break from school, work, and stress. Hope for the family to get along for those Hallmark picture-perfect moments. Hope for a white Christmas, just like the movies. And hope for experiencing true joy, that light in the midst of a cold and dark winter. Then, this year happened, and so much of what we had been hoping for feels like it is slipping away. Instead, our doubts and fears seem closer than ever. The normalcy we knew is no more, and what was tried and true is now the unknown. But if there's one thing we know about Christmas, it's that no matter what this year has thrown at us, how alone you felt, how defeated, how frustrated, how discouraged. In short, how weary your soul has felt. When you catch even a glimpse of God's light, you are reminded that nothing can steal the thrill of hope.
We're so glad that you've tuned in today. We believe that this is a divine appointment between you and God. We're here to celebrate the most impactful and important birth in the history of the world, the birth of Jesus Christ. So no matter what challenges you face this year, or no matter what way you're coming into this today, our prayer is that your soul would be refreshed, that your hope would be restored, and that you would encounter the light of the world. So come on, we're going to worship and adore the King of Kings. Would you sing with me? Oh, come, let us adore you. Come, let us adore you. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us
Hello, my friend. My name's Kurt. I'm one of the pastors around Bayside. I co-lead with a guy named Andrew McCourt. You're going to hear from him in a minute. He's got an amazing message. But before we go there, I've got this question for you. Where do you fit in? In 2021, where's your spot? Where do you really fit in? A couple of years ago, God kind of taught me about this. I went on vacation with a couple families here at Bayside, the Crows and the Johnstons and all their kids. And we went to a cabin, and all week long, we put together one of those 10,000-piece jigsaw puzzles. I mean, the kids had a blast. Every night on the kitchen table, we're working it and working it. The Crows and their 5 kids went home one day early, and the next day, as we were completing the puzzle, we realized that there was one missing piece. We tore that cabin apart. I got so frustrated because no matter how beautiful that puzzle was, the only thing I could see was the missing piece. My friend, when God looks down at our church, Bayside Church, what does he see? Well, I hope he sees a lot of people trying to unleash compassion in their world and a lot of people trying to grow by learning more about the Bible. But I know what he sees sometimes. He can only see that one missing piece. And that missing piece is you. No matter what's going on around here, God wants you to fit in, and so do we. And there's so many ways to do it. We've got singles ministry and marriage ministry, and we speak teenager, and kids are so important. Whatever age or stage you're at, there's a spot here where you fit in, if you'll find it. You know, I kept calling the Crows and saying, you guys gotta have this. One of your kids, your 4-year-old's gotta have this piece. Well, a couple days later, Renee Crow sent me this picture. That's right, 4-year-old Piper had that missing piece in her boot. I personally took that piece and drove it all the way to that cabin and put it in that puzzle because I needed the piece to fit. My friend, God wants you to fit in, and he wants you to fit in here at Bayside. Can I challenge you this year to come and be involved? You say, Kurt, what's it like? Well, the music you're listening to in this program is a lot like the music we do every single weekend. And the message you're about to hear from Andrew, it's a lot like the messages we do every single weekend. In fact, this next song, our team actually wrote this song, and they wrote it for you. They wrote it for this next year. It's called Greater Things. Can I ask you to open your heart right now and believe that God could do greater things in your life?
Didn't part the sea so I could drown in open water. You never turn your back on me. You didn't give me sight so I could never see the promise. You're always working in the wings. This is not the end of the story. This is only just the beginning. Greater things are coming. Greater things are coming. Even while I'm waiting, I'll believe. From the moment that you speak till the promise is complete. Even while I'm waiting, I'll believe for greater things. Greater things. Oh, I believe. You didn't take the cross so I'd forget that you are faithful. So let it never come to be. I won't forget. You didn't leave the grave to leave me at the sinner's table. You have greater plans for me. And this is not the end of the story. This is only just the beginning. Greater things are coming. Greater things are coming. Even while I'm waiting, I believe. From the moment that you speak till the promise is complete. things that we value most about Bayside Church is our kids. And in fact, we have two of our favorite kids, Elliot and Corey here, who are going to read the Christmas story. And I don't know about you, but nothing is going to get you into the Christmas spirit of This Does Not. So Elliot, why don't you start us off?
In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to his own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger, because there's no room for them in the inn.
And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born. To you, he is Christ the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and laying in a manger." Suddenly a great company of the heavenly hosts appeared, with the angel praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to men on whom his favor rests."
Incredible. We believe that same God who made a way is still making a way. What you started in me, you said you would complete. If you're not done yet, then I'm not done yet. All the things that you've done tell the story of love, and you're not done yet, so I'm not done yet. What you started in me, you said you would complete. If you're not done yet, then I'm not done yet. All the things Sing greater things. Greater things are coming. Greater things are coming. Even while I'm waiting, I'll believe. From the moment that you speak till the promise is complete. Even while I'm waiting, I'll believe for greater things.
My name's Andrew. Thank you for joining us today. Not everyone in this life is great at predicting the future. Like the Decca Recording Company way back in 1962 when they first heard the Beatles. This is what their report came back and simply said, "We don't like their sound. Come on, everyone, the Beatles." And they said this as well, "We think guitar music is on the way out." Not the smartest people in the planet. A similar thing happened to J.K. Rowling in 1996 when she submitted the work of Harry Potter to a few publishers. One of them came back and said, "Children aren't interested in wizards anymore." Come on, people. Get with it. And I heard this in 1984. Rod Thorne, he was the Chicago Bulls general manager, and he signed Michael Jordan, but he didn't hold out much hope for him. He said this, "I wish Michael Jordan were 7 feet, but he isn't. There just wasn't another center available. What can you do?" And then he said these words, "Jordan isn't going to turn this franchise around." These people were not smart at predicting the future. But there was a guy in the Old Testament in the Bible, and his name was Isaiah, and he made a prediction. And that's what prophets did with some of their time. And his prediction, 700 years before the birth of Christ, simply said these words, and you're going to love them. "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given." And I think these words are remarkable. "And the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." Did you hear those words today? They are fantastic words for you and for me. What does that mean for us today? This is what we're talking about. 4 truths that could change your Christmas and actually could change your life. So let's dive into them. Truth number 1, very simple. Every life needs a wonderful counselor. That's what our lives need. Every single life needs a wonderful counselor. You see, in the world that we live in today, there's many counselors. There's like school counselors, there's career counselors, marriage counselors, there's grief counselors, but there's only one wonderful counselor. It's not a job that you can just apply for. I think I'm going to grow up and be a wonderful counselor. No, it's kept to one person, and his name is Jesus. And I said it before, school counselors, they specialize in schools. Marriage counselors specialize in marriage. But guess what? The wonderful counselor, he specializes in us. What gives him the qualifications? Well, that is really simple. You see, the Christian faith is the only faith that can claim to have a God that really came down to be with us. That's what Jesus means, Emmanuel, God with us. It's God became a few pounds of flesh. God used to be in a diaper for a while. It was God in a bod. And this is remarkable, everybody. God specializes in you. He truly gets you. You see, God felt our fears, and God cried our tears, and he knows what you're going through, and he knows what I'm going through, and that's what makes him the wonderful counselor. And I'm going to say this, don't try to do life without the help of the wonderful counselor, Jesus himself. Well, that's truth number one from our passage. Truth number two is simply this, and I love it so much, that every relationship needs a mighty God, needs a mighty God. Relationships are so important, especially when we come to Christmas. We start getting a little bit extra romantic. But there was a bunch of 6 to 10-year-olds, and they were asked questions about love and marriage. One of them was called Martin, 10 years old, and he was asked the question, what do most people do on a date? And this was his response. On the first date, they just tell each other lies, and that usually gets them interested enough to go for a second date. Martin was a pretty smart kid, but Pam, age 7, she was even smarter. Listen to this. She was asked the question, when is it okay to kiss someone? Her response was, when they're rich. That girl is going to go far, everybody. And I love this question. How would you make a marriage work? And Ricky, age 10, he responded like this. Tell your wife that she looks pretty even if she looks like a truck. Well, I think that boy's from Alabama, everybody. That's what I think. That's a bit wild. And then Dave, age 8, he was asked the question, how to make love endure? How do you make love endure? And he said, be a good kisser. It might make your wife forget that you never take out the trash. Dave, I tried it. It doesn't work, buddy. And last one is this. It goes to Eric, who was age 6. He said, what exactly is marriage? Come on, Eric, tell us, what exactly is marriage? And he said this, marriage is when you get to keep your girl and don't have to give her back to her parents. Oh, romance is not dead. There's some things that every relationship needs. So if whether you're married or whether you're out there and you're single and ready to mingle, here is some great advice for all of us. Every relationship needs, well, it needs good communication, good communication. And I'm really going to speak to the guys in this one. Guys, you need to learn the art of communication. I saw this meme just the other day, and I thought this is so poignant and so true. Okay, guys, every time you talk to your wife, you should always remind yourself this conversation will be recorded for training and quality purposes. I showed that recently in churches, and guys were like taking photographs of it. Do you know what, guys? Communication is such a smart thing to get good at. Single guys, married guys, let's work on the communication. The best gift you could give your significant other in life is great communication. And then there's great understanding, okay? Every relationship needs great understanding. Now, I'm going to give you a revelation here. And I think this is like the best Christmas present I could give to every guy and every girl. This was the advice I was given, and it's been so true. I'm going to teach guys about girls and girls about guys, and we're going to separate you into food groups. Yeah, are you ready for this? Take a note on this. Guys, if you could look into guys' brain, guys inside here, they're waffles. And for all the girls, they're spaghetti. Let me explain it this way. If you were to open up a guy's brain and look inside, it would be like a waffle. It would just be like these well-separated, segmented little compartments. You see, for a guy, and girls, you need to understand this, guys just put all their issues in little boxes, and none of those boxes touch, and none of the issues go into the other issues. Guys just segment everything in their life. So when you ask a guy about an issue, he will only answer about that one issue. And I know, girls, you're really smart. When you asked him that question about the one issue, you were really asking the question about 3 or 4 other issues. But he didn't get that. He'll only ever answer about the one issue. You see, guys, this is really important. Guys can only focus on one thing at one time in 1 week. Don't ask too much of them, okay? That's all they can do. But for the girls, they're not waffles, they're spaghetti. And guys, you need to get this. You need to get this. If you open up a girl's brain, you're going to see spaghetti in there, and everything is linked to everything. And if you touch one piece of the spaghetti, everything moves, okay? You might ask a question of a girl, and it may be to do with the weather in the day, and she might end up talking about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Everything is linked to everything. And understanding in relationships, that communication is so important, and also that great understanding is so important. It really helps us not only at Christmas, but every single season of our life. And this is another important one, that every single relationship has a third party. In a dysfunctional relationship, there's third party. Sadly, it's normally another guy, another girl, or it's, substances come in, or a career, or an out of control passion. In a dysfunctional relationship, there's a third party, but also in a functioning relationship, there's a third party, but this time it's positive, everybody. It's like a mentor or it's a counselor. And can I encourage every marriage that's out there? We train and we get coaching for every other aspect of our lives. But on this one, on marriage, we think to ourselves, we can just do this by ourselves. The only model we've had is sometimes our parents. And for some of us, that's why we're in a mess. I want to say to you, do you know what? If your car is broken, I don't try to fix my car. When I lift up the bonnet of a car, it's like witchcraft under there. I don't know what is going on. You know what? I need a mechanic. Your marriage, give it the best gift this Christmas and get some coaching and get some counseling. It doesn't mean you got a bad marriage. It means you just want a great, great marriage. But in a Christian marriage, there's also a third party involved. And you know what? His name is God, the mighty God. Christians don't try to do marriage by themselves. They invite in the third party, and his name is God himself. And he wants to come right into your marriage today in that healthy relationship. Here at Bayside, we have services that happen every single weekend. And our members come from all different types of background. And just recently, Pastor Kurt and I, we went to a Bayside members business. Why? Because we were wanting to support and highlight small businesses because they've just been beaten up so much. And this couple from our church, they own a nail salon. Now, I don't normally go to a nail salon, but we wanted to support the business, and it was my first pedicure ever. The dangerous thing was that we brought like one of our huge pastors with us, a guy called Scott, and his feet are size 17. Took them 3 days to prune his toes, everyone. It was a big job. But anyway, we got talking to this couple that own this business, and they told us their story. Originally, they're from Vietnam, and they had to flee that country and come to the United States. They had a bit of a religious background, but they didn't really have a personal relationship with God. And there was a Bayside girl that started going along for pedicures and manicures, and she started telling them about Jesus and the gift of Christ, not only at Christmas, but every day. And she started this to get really interested. She said, guess what? I'm going to come to a Bayside service. Her and her husband, she came to a service. They stood in the service, and this is what she said. It never got to the preaching like this. It's when the music was happening that she said tears started to stream down her face. She looked to her right, and her husband, he had tears streaming down his face. And this is what she said. She said, we immediately felt the Spirit. What does that mean? I'm going to say this here. You can't get that in the mall. You can't order that on Amazon. You can't find that in the gym. You can find that was the Spirit of the living God. She felt something. And this is the remarkable thing. At the end of that service, she said this, that my husband and I, we said that we're going to commit our lives to God. And the little backstory is this. before they came to church, their marriage was not in a good place. And she said, we were ready to separate and we're considering divorce. But by the end of the service, not only had we committed our lives to God, but we had recommitted our lives to one another. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you're going through. But I want to say this to you, that you need a mighty God in all of your relationships. I don't know where your marriage is at the moment, but God can help if you invite him in. So, truth number one is that every single life needs a wonderful counselor. Truth number two is that every single relationship needs a mighty God. Truth number three is that every family needs an everlasting Father, an everlasting Father to come in to the family. It's Christmas and we start to talk about family. As a family, we watch movies, and you all know this, the best Christmas movie ever is, yeah, you said it, Home Alone, everybody. That's what God thinks, and he knows it. Home Alone is the best Christmas movie ever. And I look at that family, and recently, and the more, as I've gotten older, I've started to think about Kevin McAllister's dad and what type of job that he had. Because I'm thinking to myself, you know what? With that big house, he has earned a lot of money. And also, he's taken his whole family to Paris at Christmas, and some of them are riding first class. And I'm going, that is like crazy sort of money. But that's not the bit that really spooked me out. You know what? I was on to Kevin's dad because in that movie, when they ordered the pizza bill, my friends, back in 1990 is $122.50. I mean, that is a lot of cash back there. You know what I'm thinking to myself? Kevin's dad, I think he's dealing everybody. I think something's going on that back door. There's more than just pizza coming there. So much money seemed to be in that house. Family, it gets us thinking at Christmas. And even as I say the word family, some of you, you're feeling guilty or you're feeling nervous. Some of you, you're going to, have to face family this Christmas. Some of you are going to fake COVID because you don't want to go and see family. Because family, it just brings all sorts of emotions inside of us. And we say this at Bayside, there's no perfect people and there's no perfect marriages. There's no perfect family. Everybody, we're all in recovery. And God gets where your family is at. I don't know how your family is going. Maybe you started out with, the ideal, but right now you're living in the real and things aren't easy. But God gets that. God understands that. I want you to hear this here. God, he was the one that started the whole family deal. He was the one that back in the beginning, he created a guy in his image and he created a girl in his image, Adam and Eve, and he gave them the best possible start. He put them in a garden and it was called Eden. And we joke about this. In the original Hebrew, Eden means Disney. It doesn't really mean that, but it was like Disney for them. They were in the garden, and you know what? They just got to run around all day, no clothes on, everyone in their birthday suit. Life was great, just the two of them having fun in the garden. What could go wrong? God said, I want to bless you. I want you to eat of every tree. Eat of that tree, eat of that tree, eat of that tree. Oh, thousands and thousands of trees. He just said, just don't eat of that one. And what did they do? The very thing God said, I don't want you to do that, they ended up doing. You see, God's not a spoil sport. It's us that spoil it through our own selfishness. And in the end, God had to give them an eviction notice. They had to leave the garden in their birthday suit, go to Nordstrom Rack, which is never fun, get some clothes, and then they did obey the one commandment from God, which he said, go forward and multiply. We've been pretty good at keeping that, everybody. And they had kids, and one of the kids ended up killing one of the other kids. I hope this is starting to make you feel better. This was God's original marriage and God's original family. And right now you're thinking, well, we haven't destroyed Disney and our kids aren't killing each other. Why do I say all of this? You see, every family needs an everlasting Father. I don't know what mix of family that you have. If you have like a classic family, blended family, maybe you're a single parent. I don't care who you are, what sort of label your family has. Every family needs an everlasting Father. I mean, look at me. I like to think of myself as a good father, but I don't come down the stairs in the morning and go, "Hey, children, I'm the everlasting Father." No, there's only one everlasting Father. I'm a decent dad, but I'm not an everlasting Father. And I would say this, don't try and build your life without a wonderful counselor. Don't try and build relationships without a mighty God. And don't try and build a family without an everlasting Father. And this everlasting Father, he's not limited to one family. He's good for every single family. Invite him into your family today. And there's our fourth truth. Our fourth truth is so profound. Every world needs a Prince of Peace. Every world needs a Prince of Peace. My grandfather on my mother's side, he fought in the First World War. And the First World War was called the Great War. It was one of the bloodiest wars ever, 1914 to 1918. And they said it would be the war that ends all wars, and sadly it didn't. But the first Christmas of that war, Christmas 1914, the Germans, they were over here in their trenches. The Allied forces were over here in their trenches, and they were just far from one another. They were shooting one another. But on Christmas Day, 1914, something happened that had never happened before. People started to sing carols. The British heard the Germans singing Silent Night in their German accents and German words, and the British started to sing it as well. And before you knew it, one person came out of the trench, hands in the air. It made everyone nervous at first, but you know what they said? You know, something's going on there. And before you know it, both the Germans and the Allied forces, they came out of their trenches and they walked across no man's land. They met in the middle, they hugged, they embraced, they started to talk, they exchanged photographs, even small gifts. And you know what they did as well? The most important thing, they had a game of soccer, everybody. Soccer fixes everything. That's what I think. I'm from Ireland. And they played a game of soccer, and then at the end of the day, they retreated, and sadly, they went back to their trenches. When I think of that story, I think of Jesus Christ. I think of Jesus, who didn't belong in a trench. He actually belonged in heaven, in the place of adoration where he was one with his Father. But Jesus said, I'm going to leave heaven, I'm going to come to earth. You see, the Bible says this in 2 Corinthians 8, verse 9. It says that he who was rich for our sakes became poor. He came to our trenches, but he came with his treasure so that we who were poor could become what? We could become rich. Not rich in the sense of our really shallow Western version of rich. Oh, you know what? I'm a millionaire. I've got money on my money. I've got a pool in my backyard so big I've got a yacht in my pool. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about rich in our souls, knowing that we're right with God, that we're right with ourselves, that we're at peace with God, at peace with ourselves, and at peace with others. Everybody, he is the Prince of Peace. And every world, every person needs a Prince of Peace. Wherever you're watching this, I don't know what you're doing, but maybe today you're thinking, I might have some lobster, because that's a regular thing, I know. But if you want lobster, well, where do you go? Well, you go to Red Lobster. They make it so easy for you. If you ever fancy lobster, you go to Red Lobster. You don't walk into Red Lobster and go, you do chicken in here? No, you know what it says. You want a burger, where do you go? You go to Burger King. Again, you know, you're not looking for tomatoes in there. It does what it says, Burger King. If you're looking for a steak, you go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and you'll be paying for it for the next 5 years. But they make it easy. They call it a steak house. If you're looking for a bed or a bath or beyond, yeah, how crazy ever, you know where to go to. But God has made peace easy for us. I know you're looking at me. I know your life because you're human like me. You need peace. I need peace. And Jesus says, I made it easy. I'm the Prince of Peace. Just come to me and I will give you peace. You see, some of us were thinking, oh, peace is a place. I want to go and move there, or I want to go there on vacation, or peace is a promotion. No, it's not. Peace is a person, and his name is Jesus. And he said, I'm the Prince of Peace. I deal in peace. And if you want peace in your life, I'm going to give you that peace. Everybody watching me and listening to me, your life needs a wonderful counselor. You know what? Your relationships need a mighty God. Your family needs an everlasting Father. Our world, you, my friend, you need the Prince of Peace. And I'm going to give you an opportunity right now to receive him into your life as the Prince of Peace. Wherever you are, if you would like to know Jesus as your wonderful counselor, as your mighty God, as your everlasting Father, as the Prince of Peace, why don't you pray this prayer with me? I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to say these words, and you just repeat them with me. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you that you love me so much that you came from heaven to earth. And you went from the earth to the cross where you died for me. Jesus, I receive your forgiveness for my sins. I receive your love. And Jesus, I run into your arms and I receive your future for my life. Not only for Christmas, but for all of my days. For everyone that prayed that prayer and meant it, maybe you're thinking, well, what do I do now? Well, quite simply, you can just text the word NEXT to 56316. Text the word NEXT to 56316, and we'll send you some really simple information about the next steps that you can take in your new decision to simply follow Jesus Christ. Well, right now, we're going to go back into another song, and it's called Oh Holy Night. And there's a great line in it, and it says, a weary world rejoices. I don't know what's happening in your world right now, but I know this, that through Jesus, our weary world, my weary world, your weary world can rejoice. Let's enjoy this moment.
The stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin.
It really is our prayer for you, my friend, that you would experience the thrill of God's hope, and that in all the weariness of your world, God would replace it with his strength. Can I encourage you to take a next step with us? All you have to do is text the word next to 56316, and we'll give you a few simple steps. Or just go to BaysideOnline.com and check out who we are. In fact, we're even more than what you saw on this program tonight. There's so much that we do outside of the church. Even in a pandemic, God is using Baysiders to unleash compassion. In fact, we've made a video. We do this every year. This is what God did through Bayside this last year. Watch this.
So many amazing things happening through Bayside and at Bayside right now. And you know what? We've got some amazing experiences for your family that will create memories that will last a lifetime, even in 2020. We have a Bayside Christmas ice rink and a Christmas tree lighting experience for your family to come and experience. So all you have to do is text Christmas to 56316 to get your tickets for ice skating, or you can just show up for the light show. It's every night, 5:30 and 7:30, and I want to show you what it looks like in this video, so check this out.
Can you feel it? Our thrill of hope.